You know what time it is. It's time for some more Poirot ranking. Hey, I'm Paris. If you're new here, this is my channel, Paris My Reads, where I read books and review them from a biblical worldview so that you don't waste your time when you're trying to pick your next book to read. And I am reading through Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot series in order, and I am documenting and sharing with you as I go. This is an every 5 type ranking thing, and I have books 11 through 15 to share with you. If you haven't checked out my first 2 videos, ranking books 1 through 10, make sure you check those out. I'll link them above and below. I review the 10 previous titles in those videos and rank them accordingly. This is a live ranking system, so my rankings change at the end of every single video. And if you are interested in any of the first 10 titles, you can check out those videos. Or I've reviewed every single Agatha Christie book I've ever read on my website. So I will link that below as well in the caption. You can check out my website and search any of my Agatha Christie reviews. How convenient is that? I cannot believe I'm already 15 books in. I just finished book 15 last night, so this is all fresh. I am actually just all consumed with Poirot, and that even includes the tea I'm drinking. I'm currently drinking the Halloween party tea from Harney and Sons Tea Company. You can either buy it alone or you can buy it in the trio of Agatha Christie teas, and they're all Poirot teas. This is like it's almost like a dessert tea. It's really sweet. It's a black tea. It has caffeine in it. I actually have all 3 teas in this trio. Highly recommend. I'll link this below. I do an affiliate link with these, which is super fun because I am an absolute tea snob. I do not drink coffee. I don't enjoy coffee. I'm a tea girly. Check out this link for the Agatha teas. One more sip before we dive in. Let's jump into book 11, and that is Death in the Clouds. If you have read and enjoyed The Mystery of the Blue Train, you will enjoy this book. It felt very similar. So akin to Mystery on the Blue Train, you have passengers in an airplane, one of which is Poirot, and he does not travel well. It is so funny when he's like all bundled up traveling and trying not to get sick. The murder happens on the plane. So the ending of this was wild. I mean, the ending of all these are wild to me. I have yet to actually guess the ending of an Agatha novel. The only caveat, like asterisk, is Murder on the Orient Express, which I have a vlog for, and it's only because I had read it previously, and I think the ending just like came back to me as I was reading it at the very, very, very end. So I'm not really counting that, you know, not counting that, but I thought I had it. I thought I had it in this one. And you know what? I was wrong. And I was so wrong that she killed off the character I thought did it. So Agatha basically stuck it to me. She was like, oh, you think you have me figured out? That character's now dead. So that's all I have to say about that. She got me really good with this one. Let me give you my quick takes. This is what it looks like on my website. You are gonna get tired of seeing my website on here, but I am so proud of everything I'm putting up on my website. My quick takes on this one are a 4.25 out of 5 stars. Genre is murder mystery. Language is mild, God's name in vain, and she'd have a few uses of the B word in this one. So I can't remember if I classify the B word as a moderate word. I feel like it might be in my moderate scale of language. So a few uses of the B word, which is a rarity. There's only a couple books I've read where that is used, and it's only like certain characters will say it. Actually, that is an interesting thing to think about. What characters did she think would be the ones to say that type of vulgar language, and like why? Because I think they're women who say it. Anyway, these are the thoughts I have now while thinking through Christie and like why she chooses to do things a certain way. Spice is none, and content is extramarital affair and murder. I also want to make a note, because I've shared this before. I'm using this Agatha Christie reading tracker to track all of this. And if you have no idea where to start with Agatha Christie, you need this. Or if you want to start reading her works, you need this. If you have been interested in any facet about Agatha Christie, what are even her books, what are her series, etc., you need this. So I'm gonna link this below. I've realized a discrepancy. So this is all broken down into series. So here you can see this is the Hercule Poirot series, and then this is the actual like where you can log all your thoughts. And then at the beginning, it gives an overview of the series. So there's Poirot, you can see. So each series is by publication order. This style of Poirot book and another one I have them all listed. Not every single edition has these, old 80s editions probably aren't gonna have these listed on the back, but the newer ones have the entire series in order listed on the back. And then it has the book that it is highlighted. So you can see that the next book listed on the back of this is the ABC Murders. Now, in my tracker, it says it's Cards on the Table. And what I realized is that if the book titles are written in the same year, they have them listed alphabetically at that point. This tracker is not the end all be all. Okay, just know that. Again, I don't think it matters because they're all technically interconnected standalones. The only thing I've seen, like the only big things I've seen, is read The Mysterious Affair at Styles first and read Curtain last. And then however you go about reading all the other ones in the middle, it doesn't really matter. So do with that what you will. The back of this is how I'm reading them in order. So the next one I read was the ABC Murders, and I actually have 2 copies of this because this was a reread for me. I hosted a book club read along on my Instagram page last year, and this was the book I picked. I don't even know why I picked this one, but I wanted to read another Agatha Christie. Honestly, the read along for this kind of kickstarted this whole thing. So that's fun. But since this was a reread and I do want to read these in order, even though I thought I remembered who did it and the twist, I decided to read it again anyway. If you have not seen anything about the 2025 William Morrow paperbacks, which all look like this, it has the color block at the top with Agatha Christie and then the title and image below. These are the 2025 William Morrow paperback, and they have gone through sensitivity groups. They took some things out. Since learning that, since this was a reread, I wanted to go through and see what actually are they taking out. Because I've caught some things before, but I haven't truly done like a study between like these two. Like this is the 2011 William Morrow paperback and this is the 2025. The majority of the Hercule Poirot that I own are these 2011. I love these with her, like what looks like her signature at the top. Sometimes it's easier to find editions of these. So I wanted to know, should I avoid these? Bought the copy of this one, which is unfortunate because I don't really like technically either of these covers, but it is what it is, aren't major problems. I listened to the audio, which is this version, and I read this one with my eyes line by line. And this was a terrible example to use because I only found one problem. This tab right here is the one problem that not one problem, but the one difference I found, and it was racial. So they took out a racial term. So like I said, that's what they claim. I wanted to see for myself, like what actually is the difference. I did that. Anyway, I thought I remembered who did the murder of this, and I did not. I was surprised, didn't guess it, was totally wrong in who I thought did it. And I actually enjoyed this more as a reread than I did the first time around. So the first time I read it, I gave it a 4.25 stars. And then for the reread, I gave it 4.5. So the plotting of this one is so fun and very unique. Lots of different characters come into play. And so I think with the reread, I was able to keep in my mind more who all the different characters were, and so I think that helped a lot in my star rating. And then also you get a second point of view in this book, like a true second point of view, which hasn't really happened. So it's really fun to see her play around with a dual point of view, and it is the killer's point of view, and it is so fun. I love getting a peek into that side of the narrative. Very unique. She hasn't done anything like that yet, and I loved this. My quick takes on the ABC Murders by Agatha Christie, which is Hercule Poirot number 12, is 4.5 out of 5 stars. That's my reread rating. Genre is murder mystery. Language is mild. God's name in vain. Spice is none. And content is murder. Again, if we go back to the back of this book, we will see that the next title is Murder in Mesopotamia. Basically, the reading tracker had the ABC Murders, Murder in Mesopotamia, and Cards on the Table all jumbled up. They were all published in the same year, and then it did it alphabetically. So again, a note on that. The next one is Murder in Mesopotamia, and this one has such a special place in my heart. I bought this at a museum in Berlin. I recently just talked about this on a recent reads video because I read most of these books within the last month. So you can see on here that this is the museum I got the book from, and then over here's the euro price, what I paid for it. So I got this in a museum gift shop in Berlin, and this traveled around Europe with me while I was reading it. So Berlin, Spain. I actually thought I bought it in Spain at the Prado, but I did not. I think I read part of it in Spain. I love that it is this style because you can buy this cover. You can buy this cover in this size, but I love that it is like a pocket mass market size. I just think this is so adorable, and it was perfect for traveling. A fun little like God is in the details moment. I recently went to Florida and this was the next Poirot I needed to read, so I took it with me, and it was so fun traveling around with this book again. I have listened to all of these on audio, but I think the audio book brought this to life. It was actually narrated by a woman. The majority of these I have listened to have been narrated by Hugh Fraser, and he is like amazing. He is my favorite Poirot narrator. Richard Armitage did the first 4 on Audible, and he was also amazing for the first 4. But Hugh Fraser is the guy for Poirot. I like his voice in my head is Poirot. It was really fun to have a female narrator. She did a really good job. I really loved the life that she brought into this story. This is out at a dig site in, where is this? Baghdad, dedicated to my many archaeological friends in Iraq and Syria. So did you know that her second husband was an archaeologist and she went to the dig sites with him? So I love that she has some Middle Eastern set books, and this is one of them. Why it's a female narrator is because it is written from a female point of view. She's a nurse. She gets asked to come on this dig to like keep an eye on the dig leader. I don't know. Don't know any archaeological terms. So sorry. This is very wrong. But like the head of the digging team, his wife, he basically just wants a companion for her because she seems very bored and melancholy, and he's worried about her mental health basically. I don't remember if she was nannying or something. Anyway, she was about to go back and got a letter saying, would you basically come be a companion for my wife on this dig? And so she goes out to this dig. So it's her point of view through this whole thing. And then Poirot comes on the scene, which is fun. He's passing through from a different mystery. I'm pretty sure there's a reference in here to the Murder on the Orient Express. And so that's the type of thing that I've really enjoyed reading these in order, is that you are getting these little insights into the timeline of Poirot and his movements. And then you can recall, like, I remember the Murder on the Orient Express, and she talks about seeing it in the papers, I think, that type of thing. So I really love this one. I did not remember anything about it. The ending did not come back to me at all. I read this like 10 years ago, so it was a long time ago. This one is always gonna have a special place in my heart because it is like my little travel around book. I'm not quick to call any Agatha Christie book cozy mystery because it's not a cozy mystery. They're just very firm murder mystery. I do think this could be an exception. Like, I just think it is a little bit slower paced. I think it is because they are kind of removed from society and being on a dig site. It does feel that way. And it's like not cozy, but kind of not nostalgic, not stereotypical. What am I trying to think of? It feels like a very quaint setting. Like, I know she has a lot of English countryside and like manor home settings, but an archaeological dig, I don't know. I just loved it. I don't remember what I rated this when I read it the first time, probably 4. My standard for Agatha Christie was just like 4 stars across the board because I hadn't really read enough of hers to start comparing them to each other. But now that I have, I've really enjoyed being nuanced in my ratings. I reread rating of this was 4.5 out of 5 stars. Genre is murder mystery. Language is mild, God's name in vain. Spice is none, and content is murder. Okay, now on the back of the book, we have cards on the table. This is number 14. This surprised me in the best way. I read the first chapter and literally texted a friend and said, if the plot is going how I think it's gonna go, this is gonna be one of my favorite books. And it was amazing. And I gave it 5 stars. So I absolutely love this book. Completely took me by surprise. There were so many different twists and turns in this one, and it was just a ride. And I loved everything about it. This book is so underrated. Like, I can't believe I haven't heard anything about this title. There are Poirot titles that you just know are more popular because you hear about them more, like The Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile. And there are TV shows or movies that have been produced because of them, and this one just like took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting to find another 5-star. I was just basically reading these to get to like the next title I'm gonna read is Death on the Nile, and I basically was just reading all these to then get to Death on the Nile because I have never read that one, and there's a movie about it, and I have high hopes for it. We'll see if I'm disappointed or not. I actually plan to do a reading vlog for that book. This one just took me completely by surprise, and you get to meet a character called Ariadne Oliver, and she actually is, which is funny because I've read Halloween Party. She's originally in Halloween Party, so I'd already known of her, but you actually get her like introduction and more about what she does, and she is a mystery author. I fully believe that it was Christie's way of writing herself into the plot, and it was so fun. She's so quirky. She has all these really strong opinions, and she talks about how her readers have all these comments about her detective, who's actually like the exact opposite of Poirot. He's tall and Norwegian, so Poirot is like short and Belgian. I just loved the similarities between like Poirot and then this fictional Ariadne Oliver mystery author, and how Christie wrote herself into the book. So that was really fun too. I'm hoping she comes up again. I think she might be in some short stories. I'm not sure if she's in another book outside of Halloween Party, but I'm excited to find out because I am totally on board with her character. I loved it so much. My jaw truly dropped on the ground when I read the reveals. I think I gasped aloud at one of them. There are multiple at the end, and I didn't see any of them coming. I mean, I don't, but like this one, again, I gave it 5 stars. It's so good. So my quick takes on Cards on the Table are 5 out of 5 stars. Genre's murder mystery. Language is mild, God's name in vain, spice is none, and content is murder. The final title is Murder in the Mews. This is book 15. This is one I finished last night. I read this in an evening. I read it so quick. I loved it. It's actually 4 short stories, which is how I was able to get through it so fast. I've found with her short stories, they're so short, there's not really enough time for me to actually try and develop what I think is going to happen, or like who did it. Because by the time you're starting to think, well, maybe they did it, Poirot's already solved it. Learning Poirot's mannerisms and knowing how Agatha writes him with, when like they say his eyes were green like a cat's and sparkled, like that's when you know that he has solved it and put it all together. And I just love learning more and seeing more of his eccentricities, his unique, that was Porky the Pig right there, his unique characteristics. So one thing about her short stories is they are not all murder mysteries. So 3 of these, this is, like I said, 4 short stories. There's one other title that I've read in the Poirot series so far, which is Poirot Investigates, and it is also a compilation of short stories. It is much more than 4. I can't remember off the top of my head how many are in there, but it's more than 4. So this one is the second time that there is a book that is a compilation of short stories in the Poirot series. I can go through the titles since there's only 4 and kind of tell you what they're all about. Murder in the Mews, which is what this book is named from, is a murder that takes place on Guy Fawkes Night, which if you know anything about that night in England, they shoot off fireworks and all kinds of things. And then the second short story is The Incredible Theft. She wrote this in 1937, so right before World War II. It seemed like she was writing it in the current climate because it is a theft about some like military plans for a bomber. And that was really interesting. And I've not read any of her Tommy and Tuppence series, but it is a like husband and wife spy couple in the Great War, World War I. I believe it's World War I. I haven't read any of those, but it kind of felt like maybe that was the same vibe as this. And again, nobody was murdered in this one. It is a theft. The third short story is Dead Man's Mirror. So the first 2 I rated 4 stars. I rated all these separately because in my tracker it has them broken out. You can rate each short story separately. So I gave both of those 4 stars, the first 2, and then the second 2 I gave both of them 4.5. I really liked them. So Dead Man's Mirror had really fun plotting. And then The Triangle at Rhodes was actually insane. It was actually insane. That's all I'm gonna say. So that's Murder in the Mews. I really enjoyed all 4 of these stories, but the last 2 were my favorite. And I actually have the big, huge book of 50 Poirot short stories. And I think after I finish up the series, I'm gonna go through it and read the ones I haven't read yet. I don't know if they have those in any type of order, like publication order or alphabetical, or how they have those short stories in there. But yeah, we will cross that bridge when we get there. I'm not thinking about that yet. That's a ways down the road. But anyway, just know that there's a short stories collection out there, and I'm gonna read those after I finish up the series. So my quick takes on this, I think I gave this one just a 4 stars. I guess if I was averaging, it'd be a 4.25 stars. Compared to all the other books I've rated so far, I don't know if the last 2 short stories really outdo the first 2 to make it above, like for me to rank, if I'm thinking of all 15 titles, you know what I'm saying? Like I think I'm just gonna give this one a 4 stars. I'm gonna say 4 out of 5 stars. Genre is murder mystery. Language is mild, God's name in vain. Spice is none, and content is murder and themes of extramarital affairs. Finally, my ranking of all 15 titles. I'm only gonna share I think I'm gonna share my top 5. I've only been sharing my top 3, but now that I am further in, I feel like my top 5 will give a better picture. And I may add more in later, like a top 7, we'll see. This is again my video. I make the rules. Here is the rankings of, where am I gonna put these? I'll scooch over here. Here is the rankings that I ended the last video on. New rankings. Coming in at number 5 is Murder in Mesopotamia. I have 4.5 stars. I really did love this one. And again, it might be part nostalgia, and reading experience is so unique. And it is the first book that's set in the Middle East of hers, and I loved that so much. Coming in at number 4 is The Big Four. at 4.5 stars. Number 3 is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which this has officially been published for 100 years. It was originally published in 1926, so that is so cool. There are so many fun special edition Murder of Roger Ackroyd editions out there now for this 100-year anniversary, and I want one so bad. The one I want is $80, so I don't think I'm gonna get it, but it is like the artist they had illustrate it is phenomenal, and as someone with an art degree, I just like cannot get over the illustrations, and the plotting in this book is phenomenal, and it's in my top 3. I would just really love the special edition, but again, I have a 80s mass market paperback of this one, which is great, and I gave this one 4.75 stars. And then coming at number 2 is Murder on the Orient Express, which is a 5-star read, and can you believe I have a very brand new number 1, and it is Cards on the Table, which I also rated 5 stars. It's so good. You need to read it. You need to prioritize it. If you're wanting to read some Poirot books, like, it's so good. These are the 5 I would recommend for my tippy top faves. I would basically recommend all of them at this point. There's not one that I wouldn't recommend, but these are just my very, very top tippy top favorites. Let me know in the comments where you are on your Agatha Christie journey or on your Hercule Poirot journey, because I know there are some of you out there who have read them all, and goals. That is literally my goal. I know there are some of you that are just starting out, and I would love to hear where you are on your either Agatha Christie journey or Hercule Poirot journey. How do you plan to read them? How are you reading them? Let me know in the comments. I would love for you to stick around for more Poirot and just all of my book reviews that I share with you. You can do that by clicking on my face right here and subscribe to my channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out this video right here. As I mentioned earlier, 2011 Poirot paperbacks are the majority of what is in my Poirot library, and I had a huge haul of 8 books in this video, and I loved unpacking them with you, so make sure to check that out. Until next time, I hope all of your reads are 5 stars.